All right, so we're up in the office, and yeah, right over there, that's the break room, the editing console. That's kind of where all the magic happens as we put these videos together. But yeah, that's not what we're up here for. Let's dive into Facebook and take a quick look to see what things I look for when I'm trying to track down a bike, the price, the pictures, all the good stuff. Let's take a look at a couple. All right, so now that we've got Facebook open, the first thing I'm going to do is probably just reduce this down to $800. Now, I do that for a couple of reasons. I want to get rid of all the bikes that I can't afford. I can dream about them later, but right now we've got a task at hand. We're trying to find something that we can put some money into and flip and make some additional money. So we want to keep our costs low, and we don't want to buy something that's like a complete basket case, but we don't want to buy something that's brand new either. So let's look to see what we got for around 800 bucks. Okay, so Silverwing, Kawasaki, Yamaha, Honda, CB900. Yeah, so we've got a lot of choices. Suzuki GS. Let's pop him open. $600 in Minneapolis. That's not too far. Right, so he's got a couple of pictures. So that would be the first thing I would do, is kind of just look through the pictures really quick. And I see it's got a torn seat, which, okay. It's got a key. Sometimes I like to see if it's got a close-up shot of the odometer. And then I would read the description. So let's read that together. 1981 Suzuki GS750. Okay. Bought it from my neighbor 4 years ago who bought it new. All right, so right off the bat, 750. So we started this channel with the 1980 GS850, and we turned that into a cafe racer. So that's kind of cool. We could look at the differences between 750 and 850. And he bought it from his neighbor who bought it new. So that's kind of fun because now it's a really low ownership, right? One guy owned it nearly the entire life. Now this guy's had it for 4 years. Let's read on. I've been riding it all summer until the car bulb gasket started leaking. It starts and idles fine, but stumbles on acceleration. I'll fix it myself if I find the time, but for now, it should probably be trailered. Carbs were fully rebuilt last fall before being stored for the winter. New battery last year. All right, so he's attempting to take care of it. It's got some new things. It's been stored, probably cold storage, we'll say, since we live in Minnesota. Not everyone has a heated garage. But I think this is probably a good one to pursue. So we'll save this, mark it, whatever, and we'll come back to it. Intruder, what we got here? Oh, some custom markets done to it. Only 2 pictures. An 88 Intruder, 800. I'm not interested already. Now, the reason why I'm jumping to such a quick conclusion on that, if I was to buy a Suzuki Intruder, I'd want a 1400. Now, I know I'm putting my personal taste in front of what potentially someone else would want, but that's what I would want. And I would probably do what he's done, perhaps, depending on the condition. I would probably buy it and then turn it into a bobber. And I think an 800 wouldn't give you that thump, thump, thump like a 1400 would. I don't know, never had one, but I think bigger displacement would be better than smaller. So we're going to skip on this one. So $400, first picture, we can tell it's already got a ripped seat. Kickstart, decent pictures. Oh, it's at the tank. It's got holes in the tank. That's a real bummer. 1976 Honda CB750 Super Sport. Turns over with good compression, but is not currently running. I do have an air box that isn't shown in the pictures. Tank has a few pinholes on the top. Brake fluid leaked on the tank. Ugh. See the pictures for the condition of the rest of the bike. Does not have a title. Oh, done with this one. I find it's very important that when we're buying bikes that they have a title. We never want to be in a situation where all of a sudden the person who owns that bike comes forward and says, hey, this bike was stolen 12 years ago and I want it back. Yeah, you're probably going to have to give it back and you're going to lose your money. Not something I want to do. And I also find it funny when people say they don't have a title, but I'll do a bill of sale. It's easy to get a title. It isn't. And it's not usually, it usually takes a long time and it's not that inexpensive. So don't trust it. If they don't have a title, don't go for it. Also, that would be the first line of communication that I would go for when we're trying to reach out. The first couple of questions I'm going to ask are, this is my normal go-to pitch. Could you give me some more information about the bike you haven't currently added? And does the bike have a title? Let them respond to that. If they come back with a good response, then I move forward with, when can we come and look at it? I never negotiate. I shouldn't say never because I'll talk about that in a second. But I rarely negotiate price in conversation on Facebook. I like to do that in person. Now, let's take a look at some other bikes. So what do we got here? 79 Yamaha 750 Special. Okay, pictures look all right. Rather clean, kind of still shiny. It's got some discoloration on the muffler. It's kickstart. Never had a kickstart. That might be kind of fun. Low miles, need some TLC, $500. Could be purchased for parts. All right, so very little description. Very low price. There's not a lot to go off of here other than the pictures. So yeah, for $500, I'd probably reach out, and that would probably be my first question. Can you give me some more information? Do you have a title? Stuff like that. We'll mark this one for save and move on. All right, so we'll just kind of browse through a couple more. Looks like we're starting to get through to the end here where they start turning to parts and dirt bikes. Yep, mini bikes, you know, a lot of fun things going here. It seems like Facebook is like an endless resource. It's like there's always something for sale. We didn't see any today, but sometimes here recently I've seen a lot of ads that are super old, like, oh, they look really interesting. I'm like, oh, that's going to be awesome. And then it's been on there for over a year. I'm like, come on. The people that post this stuff need to do a better job at cleaning this up. I would never respond to that. So at any rate, what I would do now, we know we've kind of exhausted our search at $800. We've kind of earmarked a couple that we want to go back and look at. But now we'll try to get some fun. Huh? We're going to increase the price from, we're going to go $800 to $1,500. And we're going to see what we get by increasing this up. Okay, so here's a couple of other cool choices. CB750 Nighthawk. Oh, not sure if that's running or not. I can't hear it. That's another difference I've noticed is on the computer, sometimes they have videos. On the phone, that never comes across. Yeah. 23,000 miles. All right, let's read the description. Runs great. Has a new battery this year. Comes with an oil change kit. Windshield and crash bars. Just selling because it's too tall for me to ride comfortably. Clean title. Great. So, I mean, it's got a lot of the things that we're looking for, right? We haven't come across one yet today, which is kind of interesting, where they basically say there's nothing that they know about it. It's just in their way. Ran when parked. That's a very common description. I'm surprised we haven't seen any of that. Let's look at a couple more. I want one more point I want to try to make here. Okay. So, okay, this one. Well, let's go back 1 second. So here we go. Here is an intruder 1400. So that's kind of my cup of tea if I was to get an intruder. But notice this guy's already come down $700. So to me, that just indicates he's a motivated seller. All right, so he's got a video. I'm not sure if the sound is getting recorded, but we'll try. All right, so maybe it's running or not. And we'll move on to look at his pictures. So his pictures, yeah, the bike looks pretty good. You know, leather saddlebags like that really aren't my thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean it wouldn't be someone else's. And sometimes you have to put your own, especially if you're trying to buy bikes to get running and then flip, you have to put your own preferences aside because someone else might love this and you'll pass on it. All right, so let's read his description. Bike is in good condition and is very reliable. No leaks. Carburetors were just rebuilt a month ago. The clutch, slave, and master cylinders were also replaced this summer. Fresh oil change, new battery. There are some blemishes in the paint, but nothing major. The seat is brand new and was custom made for $900. Wow. Accessories that come with the bike but are not listed is a trunk, a driver's backrest, front fork wind deflectors, small front fork bag. Also comes with the saddlebags shown in the pictures. Rear tire is newer. The front one could use a replacement next spring. The bike starts, runs, drives, shifts, and stops flawlessly. One heck of a description. So this is awesome, right? He's got all of his bases covered. Again, indicates motivated seller to me. It's lowered his price from $2,200 to $1,500. Has a great description, decent pictures. The only real course of action we have here is, I would still go with my standby. It doesn't say anything about the title, I don't believe. But I would still ask, anything else you could say? Does it have a title? Comes back with those answers. Then it's back in your court to say, make the next move. Do you want to go and look at the bike? Now, the reason why I kind of picked this one is motivated seller. And sometimes this one is 18 weeks for sale now. And Mondovi, Wisconsin is quite a ways from me. So before I would make this jump to like, hey, can we come and look at this bike? And I would kind of press on him to see if $1,500 is his bottom, right? I would maybe throw him an offer or throw him a little nugget as to what I'm thinking the bike is worth. Indicate that I'm a few hours away. I'm willing to make the drive, but this is where I'm at. And I would probably go on this bike. I'd say this is where I'm at is at $1,200, just to see if he would bite. That doesn't indicate that that's his bottom. His bottom might be $800. You don't know where he sits as far as why he wants to get rid of this, other than he has it for sale. So that's one scenario where I would try to throw out an offer. I'm not offering him to buy it. I'm just saying, hey, if I come and look at this, this is where I'm going to start negotiating. Not at $1,500, but at $1,200. And then when I get there, if I see some things I don't like then maybe there's he says that it's got some scratches, but it's not that major. Maybe in my eyes it is major, so we could negotiate on that. How bad is the front tire? Okay, we've come down a long ways in price, so maybe that's kind of a non-issue any longer to be able to try to negotiate the purchase of a new tire. But maybe it runs really, really bad, even though he says it runs really, really good. All these things happen when you get there, not online, right? So, but that's what I would indicate. Hey, this is where I'm starting. If you're comfortable at this price, I can at least come and look at it, and we'll go from there. Oh, look at this, 2009 Kawasaki Vulcan. It's a little one. It's 500. Let's look at the pictures. It's very nice looking. Whoop. Let's see. So it's got a little bit of rust, a little discoloration on the muffler. Paint looks great. Yeah, I was gonna say that's a mark on the tank, but that looks like to be the clutch lever. The gauge looks amazing. Yeah, overall, it looks like a really nice bike. Wish you had more pictures. Let's look at the description. Final price drop of the season before this thing goes to cold storage for the winter. When she comes back out in the spring, a quick tune-up, get a few miles in, and then back on the market at a higher price. There you go. End of the summer special. Got a few more days of riding before the snow flies. Great cruiser motorcycle, liquid cooled, 4-stroke, dual overhead cam, 8-valve parallel twin engine, 6-speed manual trans, 5,900 miles. All right, so this guy either really, really likes this bike. He knows a lot about it, but he's conveying that to us. He's giving us a lot of description. So maybe he's just really good at putting an ad together. But what drew us to this bike, one was the price, two was how clean it looks. But if we read between the lines, he through his description and his pressure that he's putting on, saying, hey, I don't have to sell this, right? If I don't sell it for this, I'm going to hold it and we're going to try to sell it again next year. But for me, at this price point, is it worth the investment, right? Because let's take one look at something that's very telling. If we look at this ad, he's had it for sale at $14.99. It's been for sale for 18 weeks. So if we go back 18 weeks from now, that's going to put us probably in June. And if we go back out here, yep, he started at $2,100 and he's at $1,400 or $1,500 now. So he's come down $600. He's got a lot of cool things going on with this bike, with it, how clean it is, the miles that it has. It's kind of new, 2009. That's kind of fun. But I'm not going to go for this bike because he's probably at the market for where it would actually sell right now, even in the summertime. He's tried to sell it over the summer, and he's consistently had to bring his price down. Now he's giving out these threats, trying to boost the value by saying, hey, if I don't sell this, I'm going to hold it, try to sell it again next year. So we can't really negotiate with this guy. He's holding all the cards, right? So we're going to pass on this one, and we're going to wish him luck. Good luck, buddy. Okay, if you guys stuck along this long, wow, that's amazing. And to reward you, a few days ago we had a video come out where I talked about the regret of the year, right? Where I was beginning of the year, we're looking for some super bikes, and we kind of mentioned them in that video. And it was a motor vlog style, and it was just me just driving around, just having a chat. Let's take a look at the bikes that we mentioned in that video, if they're still on here. So it's been a couple of days since we put that video out. I doubt that they've sold, but let's take a peek. All right, so we're gonna abandon our search on value, and we're gonna type in actually the bikes that we want to search for. Suzuki TL1000R. And let's see if there she is. All right. I don't know if this is coming through, but we'll put this on and see if we can hear this run. Looked at this so many times. And he walks around the back here. Oh, maybe he already did that. Here he comes. Get that little thump, 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 thump. Man, this bike. It just looks pretty, right? It just looks like a lot of fun. We go through the pictures now. It looks so clean. Like I mentioned in that video before, I mean, we had a couple of scenarios where we had some of these found and you go and look at them and they're not. And I've talked to this guy on the phone again, similar kind of story that we had, but I believe this guy. And he's got this in his house right now. This is in his basement. So obviously he wants to take care of it. But is it worth driving down there to go look at it? And more so, is it worth, I think we can get him down to 3,000. That's why I mentioned that in the video. There's the Suzuki. Now let's take a look at the VFR. 1990 Honda VFR. There she is. Okay, so here's the other thing I'm dreaming about. Like I mentioned in that video before, we'll put a link to that video in case you want to go back and listen to the story of regret. It's just a pretty bike. So growing up, I mean, that's the kind of bike that I had. We rode crotch rockets, and we just had some fun just tearing around on it. And I thought this year being 50, that was my goal, to kind of get back into a bike like that, and probably hate it immediately. So that's going to wrap it up for me, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. This is Mike with Ace Cafe Bikes. Stick around. There's more to come, especially next week. I'm back on Chase's bike. We'll see you guys.